Before we start, the name is at the top right of the screen. The story begins as crowd protests against a woman, stating that bastard Duke dared to disrespect the Empress and wishes for eternal shame to the four great families of the Rawls Empire. She stands there without responding to them as one of the men from the crowd calls out to her, as the man calls out to her stating that she is adored in expensive clothes even while heading to her execution. She rips the dress a little as the man is stunned. She mentions that the dress of an amethyst hem was specifically chosen for this day. She smirks, questioning why does he hate it that much. She turns around and walks away as the man curses her. The other states that her clothes are cursed so no one shall touch them. She looks up towards the sky as her expression turns sad. She wonders why is she dying like this when she hasn't done anything wrong. She looks towards Duke Cassius of the Valois family, a devil without any emotions who makes all trembles in fear. She passes by him as she ponders he is her father whom she never had a single properly conversation with. She knows despite being his daughter, if she had helped him in his weak schemes, it would not be unfair to die like this. However, she wonders why was she born as his daughter. A man calls out her name, Vyusha Valois. A strong light emits from his sword as she thinks that he didn't have the right parent, just like her, but he became the emperor of a foreign land. He states that this is for last. He is Peter de Rawls, the emperor of the Rawls Empire. He asks her if all Valois are emotionless, stating that he wanted to see at least a hint of regret in her eyes before she die. He leans over to her and tells her that after investigating he found out that she has nothing to do with the Duke. He mentions that her verdict can be changed if she leans now. It'll still be a death sentence, but it won't be as painful. She puts her hand on her chest as she asks him just kill her. His emperor is stunned as the man yells at her, questioning how dare she speak informally to his majesty. They call her the devil's daughter. She's aware that she has been mistaken. He states that he thought she would be example of a noble spirit since she belongs to the four great families. She responds that status is meaningless in the face of death, questioning who would have imagined that those lowly commoners would dared to bark at a Valois. He clenches his sword as he states all right, then he will put an end to this meaningless life of hers as he uses all his strength and aims the sword towards her. She gets down as she closes her eyes. She thought that was the last time until she woke up in that spiritual world once again. Her eyes suddenly opens as she finds herself in a different place. She's aware that she always returns her whenever she dies, the spiritual world where the spirits of all character gathers. When she came here she realized that she is nothing more than a character in a story that has already been written. All the people of this world are the characters in a story written by a deity. They are divided into main and extras. The main characters can create their own stories, but that isn't the case for the extras. You cannot do as you wish. Escaping from the storyline is impossible. You must live a life that is faithfully following the role given to you. Among them who repeat such a life in an eternal loop are called extra professionals. Just like her, she is one of those extra professional extras, the villain's daughter, the 99th villain's daughter, Vyusha Valois. Despite living countless lives, her role has always been the villain's daughter. Maybe that is when she tries to do something good it doesn't work out as she wishes. She say things that she doesn't intend to say and do things that she doesn't want to do. Full torment without even knowing why, wondering why on earth is she doing this. Living a life where she cannot even move as she wishes. Only when one returns to the spiritual world like now all their memories return. She is getting a headache as she thinks about this life, realizing it was the most different. Her so-called dad was so obsessed with the female lead that he had no time to talk to his own daughter. Because of which there was a rumor that she was the abandoned young miss because she grew up as if she was abandoned. She is aware if only Cassius was obsessed with her, his own daughter, then they would not have been executed. She has no idea what she is talking about as she questions if a villain becomes obsessed with his daughter, would he be a villain? She knows then the original story won't be followed. She is aware that the only people who can change the story are the main people and not the extras. Sometimes the story can be rewritten, but the mercy of regression is only given to the main characters. She ponders that as an extra professional, it is something she cannot even dream of. She suddenly begins to float as she is surprised to know that she is moving to the next life already. She can't believe it's happening so quickly. She wonders if it is different because it is the 100th time. She prays to God to not let her lead a lonely life again. She opens her eyes in a different body as she looks at her hands, wondering if she is not an infant. She finds it weird to even expect this on the first place. She notices its black hair like last time before she wonders, last time? A woman appears and yells at her. She yells at her and questions what is she doing sitting on the floor like this. Stating that if she is given food then she should pay for it, the woman asks what is she even doing here. She looks at the woman as she finds the face familiar, as if she has seen it a lot of times somewhere. She calls the woman as Alice as she is slapped. All of a sudden, the woman asks if she ate something wrong. Questions why is she calling her name so casually. She flinches as she wonders if she's really made Alice. Wondering why is the trash that bothered her in her previous life here. Abrupt tripping as well as pulling hair, she wonders why does that person still exist in this life. Causing her to be anxious as she realizes this makes no sense at all. She turns round as she is shocked, finding it unbelievable that this place is Viscount Ilian's home. She notices her shaggy black hair and workout-made clothes. She finds it ridiculous as she wonders if she has returned to her past life. She asks Alice who is she. Alice mocks her, stating that she doesn't want to clean, that is why she is acting crazy now. She calls her Valicia and asks if she has forgotten her name. She's shocked as she realizes that she has actually regressed. Flashback. Her childhood begins with her hiding with her mother Vivian. Vivian, who was afraid of her husband Cassin's twisted obsession. After finding out that she is pregnant, she ran away from the Valois manor and begged the Viscount for help. There, together with Valicia, they ended up being treated less than commoners, and now she has returned back to the days of being in this manor. She is aware that regression isn't for extras, but knows that this is still inside the story. She mentions that so she is an extra professional before the Viscount appears and questions what is this fuss. Alice bows and mentions to the Viscount that she asked Valicia to mop the floor. But she didn't listen. Viscount seems frustrated as he questions she didn't listen. Alice responds yes and states that her training is still ongoing. He aggressively calls out to Valicia and asks if that is true. She flinches in fear as he states that he accepted her even though she had no place to sleep. Valicia ponders that as soon as she woke up she get to see this bastard. She had always started as a baby. She is filled with anxiety as she wonders if she actually regressed. The regression that she knows only the mains get. It's the deity's mercy and a chance to change her life. She pinched herself, and it hurts her as she realizes it's not a dream. The Viscount wonders if she has gone mad. Questioning what's going on with her as Alice responds that she has been going on like this from a while. Viscount stares at Alice and asks what is she thinking. He asks her should not she do something if Valicia isn't listening. Alice responds that she has to be disciplined first. Viscount responds that is correct as Valicia flinches. The Viscount commands to first put her into solitary confinement and discipline her until she becomes obedient. Valicia wonders solitary confinement again. She thinks if she needs to live that life again without food and water. She knows if it follows the original story her dad will come here looking for her mom. She knows that her father is also destined to die. But she needs him right now. She clenches her fist before she asks the Viscount if he knows who she is. The Viscount questions what before she gets down on one knee, and then she fiercely stares at him as she yells questioning if he knows who her dad is. She points at him and asks how dare he treat her like his slave. She is aware that although it collapses later her family is still one of the great four families now. She is a Valois' daughter. She screams at them to call her father right away, causing Alice to flinch as well. One maid asks the other if there is a noble guest coming. The other maid responds that there is no one else other than Viscount. The Viscount calls out to her as he mentions that it is true, fools rush in where angels fear the tread. He states yes she is a noble before she questions how dare he disrespect a Valois. He points at her and questions if she is really a member of the Valois family. He touches her as she falls down. He laughs, mentioning that he just touched her and she fell. He tells her if she wishes to be treated like a noble then sure, but he asks if she is aware that nobles who run away from their families are even lower than commoners. She trembles before he gets down and states that she doesn't have that right. He mentions that she isn't counting on him finding her, is she? Stating they won't happen. Valicia fiercely stares at him as she ponders that it'll happen soon and he will die. He notices her glaring at him as he grabs her from her cloth and mentions that he feed her and is giving her a place to sleep. He pushes her away as she falls down on the ground. He asks how much more grace does she need. Stating that she is neither a noble nor a commoner, he tells Alice to send her to disciplinary room, as Alice asks in which room should she put her in. The Viscount asks how about the room with her mother. He decides to send her there as Valicia flinches. She is aware that her mother has never been to a disciplinary room, and that is until she faced her end. Thunder strikes as she is being taken to the disciplinary room. They pushes her as she falls down. They tell the guard that there isn't any need to give her a meal, and they'll be back in a few days, stating that fearless Valois is rotten to its core, and the Duke is rampaging the Rawls Empire, and both his wife and daughter are in solitary confinement. She notices her mother next to her as she calls out to her. She trembles as she removes the cloth covering her mother. She cries out to her mother, who is unconscious. She ponders that they say that this is the deity's mercy, calling out again and again to her mother, but getting no response. She looks out as it's raining. She wonders why does she have to go through the same thing again. She hears a sound as she turns towards the door and questions who is out there. The thunder strikes as she notices a boy. It's blonde hair as she becomes shocked. She takes a step back as she realizes he's the male lead who killed her, Peter. She notices that he is of the same age as hers. She is filled with anxiety as she can't believe that it would be that same blonde-haired person. Thinking that there is no way that Peter would be here, she calls out to him and asks his name. He responds that his name is Cyan. She questions Cyan. She calls out to him as she points at him and asks what color are his eyes. He remains silent as she wonders what is that. Why isn't he answering? She extends her hands towards him as she decides to check up herself. She removes his hair as she notices his eyes are black. He fixes his bangs. She apologizes to him for touching him carelessly. She is aware that Peter has golden eyes. She sighs as she knows that it cannot be him then. She suddenly remembers something as she wonders if she just ended up apologizing. She questions if he is also trapped here. She then thinks if she is worried about him, wondering if this is because she has been regressed. She knows before she couldn't act nice even if she wanted to. She asks him if he confronted the Viscount as well. He avoids eye contact. He covers his head and gets down as she stares at him. She sits down as well as she mentions that she was imprisoned here. She covers her head as well as he makes a sound causing her to stare at him. She notices that he is trembling. She becomes worried as she questions what's the matter, asking if he is hurt. He trembles as he responds no. His face expression appears to be sad. She tells him it's not that bad. His stomach growls. She questions if he is hungry. His stomach growls again as she mentions that he is very hungry. She thinks that she should try doing something nice. She gives him something to eat as she tells him that he should consider himself lucky as she had saved this for herself. It is her first good deed after regression, and her first secret of all her thundered lives. He tells her no, he does not need it as he cannot pay her back. Seems frustrated as she ponders that she is trying to be a nice person for the first time. She tells him to take it please, mentioning that she has an allergy so she cannot eat it. He asks her to throw it away, then stating that it is pointless. She wonders if she should be just a bad person in this life too, as she's aware that being good is not that easy. She grabs onto his arms before she pulls him closer. She forcefully puts it in his mouth as she tells him that she shoved it in his mouth. And what can he do now? Can he just eat it now? He tells her that she should not ask him to repay her later. He eats as she ponders. It is nice seeing him eating well. She also thinks that he did not really say thank you. She knows. Still, it is a nice deed and it feels good. After a while, as she is with her mother, he questions if she can tell him her name. She tells him her name is Valicia, her mother used to call her Villy, she has never been loved like that by anyone before. The one who called her by her nickname with such affection, it was her mom. Her mother is sleeping eternally. He remains quiet as she asks him to not feel sorry for her or anything like that. She mentions because she is going to ditch this shitty life and start over. Because now she might be able to live somewhat differently than before. She sleeps next to her mother. As she wakes up to find that Cyan is gone, she looks around as she wonders, could it be that he was able to escape? She wonders how could that be before she senses something. Something explodes as she falls to the ground. She trembles in pain. Someone calls out her name as she notices that this verse is familiar. It is her father Valois Duchy, family he's Cassius Valois. He goes to Vivian and asks her to wake up. He cries as he begs her. Her hand falls down as he holds her closer to him. He looks at Viella as he questions who killed Vivian. She stares into his eyes as he steps towards her, telling her that he asked who killed her. She knows it is her horrible dad of 99 lives, and this is how the main villain was born. The aura surrounding him begins to emanate an unmistakable malice, saturating the air with an evil presence. He glares at her, and his magic conjures a spectral rope, winding around her neck with a vice-like grip, slowly suffocating her as she struggles in vain against its ethereal embrace. She glares at him, trying to tell him that even if he takes out his anger on her, her mother won't come back. His Knight Commander Iman arrives. He looks at the child and tries to say something, but the Duke cuts him off, stating that she doesn't matter. As his commander gazes upon her, his expression shifts to one of perplexity, sweat streaming down his face, his features twisted in confusion. Valicia thinks that Dad does not recognize her this time either. Again, Iman is the one who recognized her first. The Duke instructs him to just search the manor. As he lifts her wife up in his arms, his attention is once again grabbed by Valicia, who curses him and states all these years he didn't know where his mother was, so why is he coming now? She ends up bursting in tears, demanding if he has been trying so hard to chase her, then why is he so late? The Duke turns around to face her after her tantrums. All he says is that he thought she was mute, but she can indeed talk. He then orders Iman to search first. Iman, who looks panicked, tells him that's not the issue. He tells her to observe her features closely and points out that her eye and hair color looks familiar. And then he questions, didn't he just hear her calling Vivian mom? Cassin's eyes widen when he understands what his commander is hinting at. However, he doesn't bother turning, and with his back still facing her, he commands her to be taken and do a blood test. Iman kneels down in front of her and requests her to follow her. Hesitantly, she takes a few steps towards him. He then asks if she is feeling okay and would she like him to carry her. They make their way through a secret passage underground storehouse. He steps into a cell where the Viscount is being held captive by his knights. He reminds him Vivian was locked up in solitary confinement. The man starts begging desperately and states there seems to be a misunderstanding. His eyes harden brutally by his words. The man reveals when Lady Vivian came to visit, she expressed her wish to stay at their manor. He further explains that at that time, the way she looked was simply indescribable, and she didn't look like a noble at all. The man states how he would know she was His Excellency wife. Valicia thinks what a ridiculous lie, as she even had a brooch that is the symbol of Valois family, one with a black panther. He shamelessly reminds them that he fed her and gave her a place to sleep, even if she was an unidentified individual. The Duke coldly mutters the word unidentified. He sarcastically says, sure he didn't know about his search for Vivian. He grabs the man's hair to lift his face up as he states that even if he didn't recognize the brooch that she gave him while asking for a favor, he should have asked for his confirmation at least once in all those years. He reminds him he has been searching everywhere for his wife. Is he saying that he never heard of it? For the first time, Valicia speaks to confirm that he knew, but he hid it on purpose because he has animosity against the Valois family. She points an accuracy finger at him as she reveals he didn't care for her sick mother and treated her like a slave, and as the memory surfaces of her lying on the cold floors of the solitary confinement, she adds that he even locked her mother in solitary confinement. The man still tries to deny the accusations, saying the child is only 5 years old and has misunderstood what happened. Cassin looks at her daughter and notices she is wearing an old maid uniform. He tells his daughter that Valois return exactly what they are given, so if she is a Valois, she has to decide the punishment for the Viscount herself. This confuses her. At the same time, Iman rushes for her defense. An evil smirk appears on the Viscount's face as he believes it's a chance for him. He starts begging again, admitting that he has committed a grave sin that is worthy of death, but if has to take her punishment instead, he will gladly do it. Valicia can see him trying to hide his evil smile, to which one occurs on her face, because she can read his thoughts that he will be held lightly because it's from a child. She replies with confidence, surely should they start with fingers. The man is taken back and loses his color when he comprehends what she means, which is chopping his fingers. She remembers her mom said that the Valois piled up war honor with their magic, and she is a Valois and their family is famous for swordsmanship. She smiles as she thinks she has been through this twice, and now he must accept his destiny. The man starts begging her, aware that his faith lies with her. He starts referring to her as a young lady. She thinks sarcastically, so now she is a young lady. She looks down on him with pure malice in her eyes as she reminds him it's already too late, and decides to start with his fingers and work towards the center, and then his toes too, starting with the little toe. Sarcasm coating her voice as she says if they cut his head off right away, he will go straight to heaven, so they will start slowly one by one with his fingers and toes. Iman whispers in awe that her lineage is clear, but Cassin reminds him that a blood test is yet to happen, and he won't be sure until then. However, Iman states this is more accurate than the blood test itself. The Duke, who is still holding his dead wife in his arms, looks at her and realizes her eyes do resemble his a bit. Later, his commander comes and informs the Duke. The Viscountess and the remaining servants seem to have escaped through the back door. He also says a child has been found in the warehouse where the Viscount was. Looks like he was a slave used by the Viscount. Vilica's eyes widen as recognition dawns upon her. She realizes it is Cyan. The Duke orders that when he wakes up, interrogate him and then deal with him accordingly. Her face contorted in fear as she wonders if dealing with him means killing him, and he did not do anything wrong. She tugs on his clothes, telling him he should not kill him. He did not do anything wrong, and he's just a kid. He looks at her and questions if she means that kid. He then smirks at her, asking her who said he will kill her. He just states to go to the duchy and they will treat him there. On their way to the duchy, Vivian is still settled in his arms and Valicia is sitting on the opposite. Cassin looks at her daughter as he reminds her. He still doesn't know her name. She tells him it is Valicia, and her mom called her Villy. He caresses his dead wife's hair gently as he remembers she once said she would give him a gift. Now that he looks at his daughter, he realizes it is her. In the Valois duchy, the maids and the workers have gathered together already, and the news has reached them already. Lisa is excited as she wonders about the young miss. The head maid tells Lisa from now on she will be entirely in charge of looking after the young miss. She also warns her that she must have a lot of work ahead of her, so she should be careful. The announcement grabs their attention that His Excellency has arrived. He steps out of the carriage with his dead wife. Lisa thinks the Duchess has indeed passed away. She feels so bad because she cannot believe she was so excited to take care of the young miss in such a grim situation. Her gaze falls upon Valicia, and she feels like she is the one who's having the hardest time right now, so she is determined to do her best. Later, Lisa introduces herself to young miss and informs her she will be serving her from now on. She beams at her, telling her she will make sure to take care of her so as to make her happy. Valicia wonders. Lisa was really able to smile like that. She looks ashamed all of a sudden, thinking, well, there's a reason for that. Because even if she could smile like that, she created a reason for her to keep crying. The memories of her mistreating her resurfaces in her mind. She remembers. She was bright and cheerful like that at first, but it got worse and worse because of her. She sighs deeply and thinks it's her fault. Lisa then questions her if she wants to eat first or should she get a bath ready. She lets her know she wants to do it alone. But Lisa smiles encouragingly at her, and unfettered by her clipped attitude, she tells her she may not be used to being helped with the bath, but she would get used to it. When she's helping her take the bath, her gaze falls upon her scars on the back, probably from beatings. Tears start shedding from her eyes. But Valicia acts like she's unaware. Later, she is dressed properly and wearing 2 pigtails, looking like a young lady she is. She questions her if there's something she cannot eat so she can go tell the kitchen. The table is adorned with a sumptuous array of delectable dishes, each crafted with culinary mastery by the head chef himself, who has personally ensured their perfection. He boasts about his cooking. With grilled, freshly caught fish as for the meat, he picked the liveliest animal that roamed the mountains and fields. He expresses that he put his heart and soul into these dishes, and the joy fills his whole spirit. She thinks again the chef was also originally like that, cheerful, until she was discovered as an evil child. Everyone looks at her expectantly, and the chef encourages her to try it. She thinks it's so bothersome. She takes a bite but feels uncomfortable because everyone is staring and she is going to get indigestion. However, she smiles awkwardly at them and compliments it's delicious. The chef starts dancing in joy because, as expected, his cooking is excellent. She remembers how she used to toss his dishes away every day because she claimed they were unsavory and calls herself silly. She gives her maids a side eye, wondering how long are they going to continue watching her. However, Lisa notices her discomfort and shoots them a glare. They bolt out of the room after that, and she sighs in relief because finally they are gone. Lisa says she's new to the Valois Manor, so everything must feel strange and awkward, right? She thinks to herself, no, it's so familiar, that's the reason it's giving her goosebumps. She smiles at her, informing her. Tomorrow she will walk her around the castle, and she will tell her everything. Lisa is sure she will like it here so much that she would want to stay here for her entire life and not marry. She looks at Lisa in disbelief, thinking as if, and even if she wanted to, she would be long dead before that. As she's combing her hair later, she asks if she met her dad for the first time, right? She thinks to herself maybe it's because he has been trying so hard to save Mom and not leave her alone that it feels like it was really their first meeting. Lisa then also reveals that she might not know this, but His Excellency has not stayed in the manor since the Duchess left. It is said there is no place he didn't look for the Duchess. All over the empire, even other nations beyond. She says he loved his wife so much, so she is so sure His Excellency will adore her as well. She jokes that he might become the biggest fool for his daughter. However, she wants to tell Lisa that is not it. She needs to put those thoughts aside. His obsession with Mom was the reason for their downfall. When she puts the brush on the dresser, she further adds, of course, His Excellency, he's like a male lead of a romance novel. She's annoyed because that's not the case, she got it wrong. He's not the male lead, but the villain. Oblivious to her thought, she also expresses that she's happy because that makes her feel like a maid in a romance novel too. She also expresses she is really looking forward to seeing what kind of a man the young miss will meet when she grows up. However, she just wants to ask for forgiveness because she is the villain's daughter here. She is the daughter of a villain who is being sentenced to death, and not only that, she is also destined to die after meeting the romance novel's main lead. Her face etches in worry thinking about it. Lisa also wonders what should she do. How sad it must be for her to lose her mother overnight. She realizes she needs to change the topic and wonders what should she do. What should she talk about? Suddenly an idea comes in her mind that the young miss just came to an unfamiliar place and will probably need some time adjusting. She will show her how wonderful this place is. She asks her. She still does not know much about Valois, right? But she thinks no. She knows her family too well. Lisa tells her this place goes past what she imagined. Like, should she say it's like a fairy tale castle? Before she started working as a maid, she heard many ghost tales about maids who died while working for the nobles, so she was a bit worried at first. However, working here made her realize this is in fact like a job straight out of her dreams. There are strict working hours, 3 delicious meals a day, and a rest area exclusive to servants. Also refreshing vacations. She thinks to herself that is because it was a home without a master until now, and her life will slowly become miserable, especially if she stays faithful to her previous role. However, after the regression, she was able to do the good deeds that she was unable to do before. Remember, she was able to hand over the bread to Cyan. She wonders, maybe she won't live as the villain's daughter anymore. Living a good life does not seem that far off now. After Lisa is done telling her everything, she inquires if the family is truly amazing. She feigns excitement and says, wow, really, the family is like that. It's so different from what is heard outside. She states that what she heard was the family chops the bodies of disobedient servants. Lisa gasps and wonders who dared to say such horrible things to the young miss. She is quick to defend them, angry that no, she should not listen to those horrible tales, and nothing like that happens here. The Valois family is a great family, becoming one of the 4 great families of the empire for their swordsmanship alone. The Duke has been at the forefront of numerous wars and subjugations. He has contributed to the establishment of the current empire, and there's also magic that can only be used by the direct line of the family, each coming with their own unique ability. Because of this, Valois' direct line is overwhelmingly stronger than the rest. After telling her all this, Lisa wants her to be proud of being the young lady of the Valois family. Valicia realizes Lisa is really very loyal and can't believe she tormented her so much in her past life. However, Lisa does not know that great family is going to collapse. She wants to question her if she knows how terrifying a man obsessed with his dead wife is. She remembers that abandoned everything and everyone related to his family, searching everywhere to find a way to revive her mom. Among the people he met, there were some who said they knew how to revive her, but their lies were soon discovered, and they met their end at his dad's hands. The man who had lied told him that it was impossible with his own power, but maybe divine power could help. The miraculous power to heal any injury. And the one widely known in the empire to wield such divine power is Saintess Empress Isilis. The man told her that he heard she was willing to reach out to those in need of her healing, regardless of their status, and he needed to go and ask her, and she would be able to bring his wife back from dead to life with the help of divine power. He said if that's his dying testament, then it's not so bad, and killed the man brutally. The more people he killed, the more numb he became, a monster with no emotions. Someone who was judged to be no longer of use was instantly thrown away by him at some point. The obsession to revive his wife was the only emotion he could feel. He went crazy. He then went to the imperial palace and requested the empress to revive his wife. However, the empress told her she might be a saintess, but how did he expect her to bring the dead back to life? She straightaway told him this was impossible, even with her divine powers. She said what happened to the Duchess was truly unfortunate and advised him to overcome it. However, he cut her off midway and questioned how she could be so sure when she didn't even try yet. To the Empress' horror, he ended up killing a person in front of her. He warned her that until she revived his wife, Vivian, she would receive a head every week. One night, as the Empress was trembling in her room beside the bed, he came to her, stating that she seemed to enjoy having the throats of good people slit open. She tried to tell him that she couldn't do what he asked of her. Treating a wound and reviving a person were completely 2 different things. She told him to give up now. This made him more furious, thinking she was telling him to give up on Vivian. He said if she couldn't be saved, then both her and her divine power were useless, and ended up murdering the queen as well. As a result of becoming the murderer of the empress, all the assets of the Valois family were confiscated by the imperial family, and all direct relatives to him were also sentenced to death. Lisa bids young Miss good night as she leaves. She lays awake in her bed thinking, now that she has come back, she can live differently than before. Changing the original novel is the privilege of the regression, right? She wonders, can she change her villainous dad? The person who was so obsessed with reviving her mom that he even killed the Empress. On the other hand, Vivian lays dead on the Duke's bed. The Duke holds her hand and thinks although he can hold her back from disappearing with his magic, he will never be able to hear her voice again, and he won't be able to see the smile she used to show when smiling at him. He leans in closer, cupping her face and apologizing for being so late. His eyes become teary, thinking he could not protect her. He keeps apologizing to her. The Duke of the House Blue Bell looks at his daughter playing with the Mads. He questions the butler. Isn't it time for her magic class now? Why is she playing out here? Butler replies. The magic teacher caught a cold, so they will be taking a few days off, and it would be a big issue if the young miss was infected. The Duke frowns, asking why does she have to go and play around just because she has no classes. He states if she does not have the magic aptitude of the Black Panther, then she must walk 4 times harder. He has emphasized this over and over. The butler says, but still, isn't she a child? He reminds him about the young Miss of Valois. With that great bloodline, she will soon be able to effortlessly wield magic. After taking a sip of his wine, he says he cannot drink this anymore. The butler offers to give him another. He then reminds there is still no news of Viscount Ilion. The butler responds, it has been a long time since they have heard from him. Could it be that the Duke Cassin, but then he trails off. He thinks that's possible and sarcastically mumbles, isn't that the great Valois family after all? However, he then states they should just watch, they will destroy themselves and questions when is the funeral of the Duchess. Butler says, according to the report, they say there won't be one. It is sad that her body is preserved from decaying through magic. He smiles evilly, thinking if he's planning on living with a corpse. He has been looking into him since he abandoned his family just to find his runaway wife. He comments, such a faithful husband. He then asks the butler if he knows how to manipulate people to do as he wishes. The butler inquires, is it preying on weakness? He states that all one can do is threaten. The real way is to mess with his desire. What he wants the most will also become his weakness. He is aware that Duke's Cassin weakness is the most beloved Duchess. On the other hand, Cassin is still in his room next to his dead wife sitting on the floor. Ammon opens the curtains telling him it's time to wake up. He then informs him the Duke of Bell is here. The Duke mumbles he's still the same as always, appearing out of the blue with no prior warning. His commander's gaze falls on the Duchess, and he hesitantly asks how long he is planning to keep the Duchess in the bedroom. Sudden anger hits him like a lava as he questions, is it wrong to keep his wife by his side? Iman tries to reason with him that she cannot be kept in the bedroom forever. In a place where the sun doesn't shine, Kyujin thinks Vivian loved being in the sun. Also, she liked flowers. It would be good if she had a place in the garden instead. He comes down and greets the Duke of Bell. When he looks at Cassin, he is surprised because people said he was intoxicated with alcohol, so why is his face so bright? He questions the Duke if he has been having trouble so far. But he ignores him and just says that's so like him coming here with no warnings. The man apologizes and says he heard the Duchess passed away. Cassin's demeanor stiffens. He repeats that he said he found his wife dead. Then has he not heard that there will be no funeral then? The Duke of Bell says even if he's forcibly holding on to someone dead, can he revive her? Why would he have such vain hopes? The Duke says does he think he's a fool? The Duke of Bell quickly denies and says no. He respects him. He adds in some ways he is someone he looks up to, someone he cannot emulate. My wife often pesters him about it to follow up the Duke's example. The man says if they were alike his wife would have been in the same situation as the Duchess. This makes Cassin clatter his teeth in anger. He says angrily that he must have been waiting for this day to pour years' worth of ridicule all at once. However, the Duke also threatens that he might want his wife to see her husband's corpse. His magic gets out of control once again, his aura becoming malice. He tries to shield himself with his own power, pleading with him to calm down. He did not come here today to die at his hands. His hand, from which he tried to shield himself from his magic, has ended up burning. He declares that he came here to revive his dead wife. Cassin's eyes widen in disbelief. He then suddenly composes himself and warns him not to fool around. No way he can do that with his magic. He asks him, is he claiming he can revive her? However, the Duke of Bel asks instead would he do anything to revive his wife. Cassin replies without an ounce of doubt that he would gladly fall into the abyss. The man's expressions turn smug as he thinks he caught him. He then announces this, to be precise, he cannot revive her, but it might be possible for them. He questions if he's aware about the sorcerers, the one who are seeking powers with no morals. Duke says the ones who call themselves that are not all scammers. The Duke of Bel replies the ones who claim to be the one in public are, but the real ones cannot reveal their existence. This is the source of their power and their origin. It's death. They use the power at the cost of someone's life. Letting people know they are sorcerers means that they are confessing to being a killer. He further adds it is said that those who can wield that power can even revive the death. And there is a tale of a dead person coming back to life through sorcerer magic. The man questions the Duke, has he really never heard of it? Cassin stands up abruptly, shouting at him if he expected him to be captivated by his nonsense. However, the Duke of Bel says whether her grace is revived or not it does not affect him. But that's not the case for him, is it? He lies that he's only telling him this in hopes of helping the Valois family return to the way it was. And are not they the Bel family, a collateral line of the Valois after all? The maids are playing with dolls as one maid mimics a male toy and the other mimics a female toy. The male toy mentions for 7 years he could not sleep a single night missing her. The female toy tells him to not talk nonsense and questions what is that stain of saliva around his mouth. He just woke up. The male toy tells her that is what happens when he sees her. She is so pretty that he cannot help it. The female toy responds in truth the same. Valicia seems pretty done with them as the maids looks at her. They asked her if she is not having fun as she responds no, it is very fun. She tells them that Lily and Daisy, they act so genuinely that she cannot look away. She also gives them as 5 stars as the maids are happy, stating that she is the god of acting in this region. Valicia thinks that she needs to get the maids on her side. The great run of opposition, the maintenance of class allowance the direct finally receives every month would be enough for her that she would not have to worry about making a living for the rest of her life. She is aware that staying in the Valois manor will only confirm her death, so she decides to run off to a free nation. She knows until then this operation must what we discovered, and she thinks, what if she runs away, get caught and banned from going out forever? Not only does she need to save up for an emergency fund, but also safely move that money into a free nation. She has a determined expression on her face as she realizes that she needs to bring some people to her side. The maid questions if there is something on her face as she responds no. The other maid brings Hike's fresh cream cake. Vasilia mentions cherry tart. She realizes that she stated without realizing. She needed 3 to 4 times to understand the role of the villain's daughter. She knows there was a minute ago, and she wants a cherry tart now. The maid responds, but she clearly wanted fresh cream cake just now. She states that she gets a bit annoyed when the maid nags like that. The maid tells her that she will bring it right away. Right then Valicia asks her to just put it back as she wants mill fuel now. She knows that she would have eaten poison if she was in her place. The maid questions if there is something on her face as she states that Vasilia looked at her all of a sudden. Vasilia curses her, causing the maid to be stunned. Vasilia is herself shocked as she questions to herself, what is she suddenly swearing? If she wants to be good, then she has to act good. She turns around and thanks the maid. She takes the cake and ponders. That habit is scary. The maid responds that it is a pleasure to serve her. She wonders that they look so sad that the words just came out on their own. The maid states that she did not even know and says it must be so hard for her. They are having a conversation with each other as one questions what does the other think. Do they think that Vasilia is heartbroken? The other one feels bad because she's trying to act like everything is okay at such a tender age. They are discussing this in the servant lounge. They wonder how can she be so resolute. The maid mentions that it is clearly not okay and wishes for her to get better soon. They thought that she would just enjoy eating the tasty desserts, and we would have thought that she would eat that tasty food with such a grave expression. She is eating it as she thinks that she has to be careful from now on. One of them questions what do one do when they are sad, as the other responds, the male lead and the female lead gazing at each other. She reads romance novels, and then they cut closer until they finally, before the other maid slams the table stating that the young miss is still so young, so that is too inappropriate for a child. The other maid complains that she asked what she does when she is sad, and she was just talking about how she reads novels. They wonder, do not they think that young miss needs time to compose herself? As she recently lost her mother, moreover, she has to adapt to a certain degree of environment as well. And at any age she probably needs the time to set her thoughts straight. They wonder if they ended up bothering her too much, which causes them to be shocked. They start that from now on, some time alone will be good. Meanwhile, Cassin tells the attendant that he will be away from the manor for the time being. The attendant states that the young miss would be very lost as she just moved into a new place. So how about he stays by her side just for a few days? Cassin remains quiet before he states the appropriate treatment, which causes the attendant to question what. Cassin mentions that he knows best how to handle the young miss of this manner. The attendant flinches before he responds. Alright, he thinks that a young miss is only 5 years old, and it has been a while since he last visited. On the other hand, Vasilia thinks that no one interacted with her all this time, and she cannot even get the maids on her side. She's aware that there's no one to even read her a bedtime story. She thinks that she should just read it on her own, as what else can she do now? She opens the book, as it is about the whole who lived alone and was accustomed to his solitude. But someone came to the wolf, and it was a baby wolf. Her eyes got steady as she wonders why she's crying. Even though she was born as the villain's daughter, she's also someone who can feel sadness and loneliness. She tells herself to not cry. She knows no one will come to comfort her, and she used the villain's daughter. She tells herself that this is normal, and no wonder no one loves her. She covers her ears, turning herself to come back to her senses, as it is the 100th life this time. Right then, the meat grabs her hand, telling her no matter how difficult it is, she should not harm herself. She looks at the maid. The other mates are informed that they have stopped her from harming herself and tells them to bring coca and blankets for the young miss. And for the young Mr. Bidar operation need time alone will be changed. From now on, they will assist her as much as possible. She has no idea what is happening.